Welcome to the High Level Wife Podcast. This is a space for Christian wives who love God, want their marriage healed, and are done performing, fixing, striving, or trying to control their way to change. Here we're going to talk about marriage God's way through right order, surrender, heart posture, and spirit-led transformation. This is not self-help, it's discipleship. My name is Chelsey Holm, and my role is to help you move from awareness into obedience so real healing, wholeness, and restoration can take root. Let's begin. One of the biggest lies that Christian women believe is that their spiritual life is private. I don't know where we got this concept, but it's not what happens in the Christian faith. We are one body, one temple, all working together. So there's this lie that what happens between a Christian wife and God only affects them. But that's not what the Bible teaches. In God's design, a wife's obedience or disobedience shapes the spiritual atmosphere of her home in ways she doesn't even realize. And the same is true for the husband. The way that he obeys or disobeys God shapes the environment of the home. And so for that wife, that influence can either bring peace, life, and growth, or it can bring tension, confusion, and spiritual stagnation. Today, we're starting a new mini-series called The Influence of a Wife in God's Design. And in this first episode, we're going to be talking about something foundational, which is your obedience is not private. If you're new here, I'm Chelsey Holm, and this is the High Level Wife Podcast, where we talk about marriage God's way. And what we're unpacking in this series is something that our culture has either misunderstood or completely rejected. Because our culture tells women they need power, independence, control, right? I don't need no man, I'll do it myself. But God's design shows us something much more powerful. It's about influence. It's not control or domination, but influence. And influence flows from obedience. So many women think, and this might be you too, that my walk with God is my personal thing, right? Like you do you, boo, and I'll do me. But that's not actually how God designed families to function. When a wife walks closely with the Lord, it changes the atmosphere of the home. And hello, when she walks in fear, resentment, anxiety, or rebellion, that also shapes the atmosphere of the home. Because the spiritual posture always leaks. It shows up in your tone, your reactions, your patience, your peace, or more often than not, the lack of it, right? It's so easy for us to say, I'm so patient. I have so much peace until we actually walk through a situation where patience and peace are required, and then we realize how much we actually lack. In Joshua 24:15, it says, "As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." Joshua didn't say, "As for me personally." He said, "Me and my house." How many of you guys have this verse written somewhere on the wall in your house, whether it's a picture or a decoration or something? I do. And I believe it. It's not just a nice thing to put on the wall. It's because the faith of the leader and the posture of the family are connected. And within a marriage, a wife carries tremendous influence. So let's talk about how influence actually works. Influence is subtle. It's not loud or controlling. It's powerful. Think about this. When a wife lives in constant anxiety, what fills the home? I can tell you how much anxiety a wife and mother carries by observing her children. You can see it very quickly, right? When a wife lives in that constant anxiety, tension fills the home. When a wife constantly criticizes, what fills the home? Defensiveness. When a wife walks in peace, though, what fills the home? Peace. Peace fills the home. The atmosphere of a home is often shaped by the spirit the wife carries. Proverbs 14:1 says that a wise woman builds her house, but the foolish tears it down with her own hands. I want you to notice something important here, that it doesn't say that she builds the house with her authority. It says she builds it with her wisdom. Wisdom is influence, but foolishness also influences. And so every day, through our attitudes, our words, our reactions, we are either building or we're tearing the house down. I've seen this play out in my own life too, where there were seasons where I thought I was helping my husband grow spiritually. You guys know this. I've shared this so many times. But my heart posture was pressure, control, expectation. It was me putting my husband in a box in a direction that I thought, which was completely wrong because I can't actually see his heart. Only God can. And so, even though I believed I was doing the right thing, what I was actually doing was creating a spiritual tension in our home. My husband at one point said, Honey, I don't really want to talk to you about spiritual things. That's all you ever talk about. And and in that moment, I should have noticed the signs that I said, Well, that's ridiculous. Of course, we want to talk about God all the time, right? But that should have been the indicator to me that my heart posture behind those things was not right. And therefore, it was creating spiritual tension. Because influence that flows from anxiety and control does not bring life. Influence that flows from obedience and trust, on the other hand, in God does. So you need to think of your home like spiritual soil. And I've used this imagery in past episodes before about, planting and tending a garden, that whatever you plant there grows. Okay. Now it's not like me planting a garden where some of my stuff grows that I plant and some doesn't. No, you need to understand that everything you plant in this garden of your home grows. So if you plant criticism, fear, resentment, control, that's gonna grow. And it's gonna grow like kale in winter, doesn't care what the weather's like, it's gonna grow regardless. But if you plant peace, prayer, faith, respect, humility, that is going to grow too. Because your obedience creates the soil your family lives in, just like a surrendered heart creates the broken soil for God to bring the growth through you in the first place. Okay? Sorry for my sniffiness. I think whatever cold the kids had, I've got just a little bit of the tail end of it. Just enough to be a little snuffly. So, my apologies. All right, we need to understand that influence is God's design. God didn't design wives to be powerless. He designed them to be influential, and your presence in a home changes things. We are the support. A support offers influence. Your words change things, your faith changes things, and your obedience to God has ripple effects far beyond what you could see. Your children notice it, your husband feels it, and your home reflects it. I have had people walk into my home and say, I don't know what it is about this space, but I just feel peace here. I always feel so welcome. I feel comfortable. I feel joy, right? Why? Because that's what we're cultivating here. That's what we're planting here. So the real question for today is really simple. All the questions are always simple, right? We just love to overcomplicate things because if we overcomplicate things, then we're confused. And when we're confused, we don't know what direction to move in. And so we don't do anything, right? What kind of spiritual atmosphere are you creating in your home? Is your obedience bringing peace or is your fear creating tension? Because whether you realize it or not, your influence is shaping the environment your family lives in every day. When your husband comes home, does he get through that front door as quick as he can because he can't wait to be in this environment? Or do you find him avoiding coming home or exhibiting tendencies that he just wants to come home and and try to stay in his corner, out of your way, out of sight, out of mind, right? You're going to notice these things. Are your kids excited to come home, to be home, to stay home, or are they always looking to leave the house and go be somewhere else, right? Your influence is shaping the environment your family lives in every single day. So, in the next episode of the series, we're going to talk about something that many wives struggle with. It's the difference between influence and control, because they can look very similar on the surface, but they produce completely different results in marriage. Understand this, that a wife doesn't have to control her home to shape it. She only has to walk faithfully with God, because when a woman walks with the Lord, her influence speaks louder than words ever could. right? We see this in Peter that she could win her husband simply by her conduct and not a word. That's what we're doing in our homes with our influence. And we have with that influence the power to build or the power to tear down with our own hands. So come back for the next one. You're gonna want to hear this one. It's all about control, which we talk about all the time. Your influence speaks louder than any words ever could.
If this episode stirred something in you, but high level wife feels like too big of a step right now, I want you to hear this clearly. You don't have to jump ahead to honor what God is doing. I created a short guided experience called From Awareness to Surrender for women who aren't ready for ongoing support but know they can't stay where they are. It includes 3 short teachings, a guided exercise, and a prayer I recorded over you. It's going to help you move from awareness into real response. You'll find the link in the show notes. And if you're not ready even for that, don't rush past this moment. Sit with God and ask Him what obedience looks like next.